Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is a custom video commissioned by AS to say happy birthday to the Watch Bombardier. Link in the description to the first video I made for the Watch Bombardier when I said happy birthday, and then I got on his ass because of his taste in watches. Happy birthday, and here's a shot to the gut. That's the way we roll here at Watch Symposium, I guess. All right, so one of the things in a video that he made, and I'll put a link to that video in the description of this video below, has to do with the Mudmaster, the Casio Mudmaster, and he goes through his 10-point watch review scale. And one of the things that I was told would be useful was to bounce that off my way of reviewing watches, which is the 5-factor model of watch assessment. I'll put a link in the description where I talk about that in detail, all right? Basically, form, function, value and value retention, usability, and the X factor. That's my model. All right, well, let's go through his and see what I think. Well, it's, again, 10 points, and the first is the nickname, all right? The nickname of a watch. Well, that can be important. I mean, I refer you to the Batman versus the Batgirl, right? That goes under X factor for me, all right? Number 2, the color. Very important, all right? For me, that would be form, and I guess sort of X factor, because X factor can be very personal, and you can just say, hey man, I love coral red. Number 3 is brand history, and for me, that would fall under value or X factor, all right? A little of both, and that's because that can mean nothing to people. They might just look at the object and say, I look at it for what it is, not the history or anything like that. But it's part of the value of a watch for sure, and it's also part of the X factor of a watch, the brand history, especially when you're talking high-end watches, because really that's a big part of what you're buying. Number 4 in his model, movement, okay? The movement, well, that has to do with function and how well the watch functions in my model. The X factor, because if the movement is in-house, it's a little bit nicer than if it's purchased from the Swatch Group. And then, of course, usability, because if it's low quality movement and it's plus 30 a day, that's going to make it a lot less usable. So movement's a very important factor to talk about, and I would do it in function and X factor and usability. Number 5, lume, all right? And that has to do with usability, form, function. Number 6, water resistance, okay? Again, for me, that would be usability and also functionality as well. So function, can it function in the water, and can you take it in the water? Number 7 for him, well, if you watch that video, it's bezel, okay? But then there's not much of a bezel in the Mudmaster, so he changes it to utility, which is kind of like my usability. But again, bezel for me would be, has to do with the aesthetics of the watch. So the form, also the function, the usability of the watch. Number 8, Caseback design, all right? Again, that goes under the form or perhaps the function. I mean, if it's a dress piece, allowing you to see that decorated movement. Also, it can affect usability as well. If you've got a dive watch with a display caseback, it's just not going to be as rugged. All right, number 9 for him is a big one. It reveals a lot about his philosophy in terms of watches. Price. And for him, they got to be under 300 pounds. And so he's got a price ceiling of 300 pounds. All right. Okay. Number 10, quality control. And look, you can't get really an idea of quality control from looking at one example. You really have to look at a wide range of examples to really get a handle on quality control. But we can talk about quality, and it's almost surprising that I don't have quality as one of my factors. But quality is something that you can deal with under the factor of function. All right, think about wobbly bezels with a lot of back play. Well, functionally speaking, there's issues. It doesn't function well. I'm not just talking about the functions of a watch, but how it functions, how the actual bezel functions as it's intended to. Is there a lot of back play? Does it feel good? All right. That's the functionality that I think would reflect quality. All right, so what do I think of the Watch Bombardier's 10-point watch review scale? Let's review his review scale. Well, to me, it's a scale that is tailored to the type of watches that he reviews. Sub $300 watches, Casio watches. He talks about lume and water resistance, and those are not factors that are going to come up on dress watches. To me, a good model is one that you can take any watch in any category: dress watch, dive watch, travel watch, digital watch, mechanical watch, high-end watch, low-end watch, and you can take, say, a Patek Calatrava or an F91W or an Explorer 2 16570, and you can really, I think, represent the watch in a better way versus trying to have it conform to some specifics on here. And look, 10's a nice round number, but you've got bezel on here, you've got lume. I mean, why not clasp? Why not hands? I mean, you can just go into specifics. And I think the more specifics you go into, it gets a bit cumbersome. So again, this is very subjective, and I think it's what's important to him, and that's the way you have to look at this 10-point watch review scale. Whereas I think mine is, it's something that everybody can use, but it's general enough that it doesn't leave any watch out in the cold. And look, that's the beauty of watches. I mean, no watch does everything perfectly, and that's why questions like which watch is best, we can't answer that question. Well, you know, we have to take a watch and bounce it off, say, a 5-factor model, and say, well, in this situation, it might be best. All right. Are Rolex is always the best watch out there? Absolutely not. If you're working on your car, you're not going to want that, and you're going to want something like a G-Shock. And so it's going to, in terms of usability, the G-Shock rate really high. So for me, I think the more general 5-factor model is more useful. I think it's more applicable to a wider range of watches, and it's going to represent those watches more accurately versus trying to pigeonhole them into a subjective idea of what you think a watch should be. So that's my critique of this watch review scale. I mean, it's subjective. I feel like it's the factors that are important for him. Not all watches are going to fare well according to this, but all of the watches that he likes probably will. All right, guys. Well, let me know what you think. Which model do you prefer? Well, I think it's pretty clear where I stand, but I'm a bit biased. Okay, but let me know what you think. Watch Bombardier. Hey, we'll leave it there. I just want to say happy birthday. Good luck with your channel, and I'll drop by every now and then. I love seeing those fake Rolex watches. It helps me hone my chops on IDing those nasty little things. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Take care. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.